Hey, what's up, y'all? Bushel Billy here on the 10th of May, spring 2022. Wanted to take just a quick minute and talk about the longest lasting residual on the market. This residual is a broadacre residual. It can last for months and months and months, holds weeds back beautifully, and the best news is it's free. And what I'm talking about is cold soil. And I know it seems to be weird on May 10th be talking about cold soil, and what I'm getting into is fall burn down, but I've got a great illustration here that I'll show you in just a minute. I'm sitting inside the truck because the wind is howling and there's a lot of wind noise. But when soil temperatures get below 50 degrees, pretty much nothing germinates. It holds everything back. It's Mother Nature's weed residual, and it lasts beautifully all winter long. So the example I've got here is fall burn down. We went out and sprayed 2,4-D and dicamba the week of Thanksgiving. My dyslexic sprayer operator, which is me, flipped the wrong switches on the rate controller and shut off a boom section. So I've got a boom section across the field that gives a great illustration of the advantages of fall spraying. Now, something that's always been debated when you're fall spraying is whether or not you need to use a residual. And really what it comes down to is the timing of the application and knowing your target weeds, whether they're a winter annual or a spring summer annual, when that germination timing is. So remember, your chemical residuals will last for approximately 30 days. If you are out doing fall burn down and you are within 30 days of soil temperatures dipping below 55 to 50 degrees, then a residual will get you to those cold soil temps. So the plants nest, the leaves drop off, and then the combine takes the plants off the top and the sunlight hits the soil. All those winter annuals start to germinate. And they'll keep germinating as long as soil temperatures stay warm. And then you come in with your fall burn down and kill them off. Now, I cheated spraying the week before Thanksgiving because weather had turned cold, soil temperatures were dipping down below 50 degrees. I was leaning on the soil activity of the dicamba to get me to a constant weather pattern where soil temperatures were too cold to germinate weeds. I can do that on the amount of acres I cover. If you've got more acres than you can cover timely, then you need a residual product that's going to prevent germination from the timing of application until the time that soil temperatures dip too cold for weeds to germinate. Once we get to that point where the soil's too cold for weeds to germinate, then they'll sit barren all winter long and well into the spring until it finally decides to warm up in the spring. And the spring of 2022, soil temperatures stayed cold for weeks and weeks and weeks. And what we're about to see is nothing germinated the entire month of March and April. And that's not always the case. We can get 70-degree weather in March. We can get 70-degree weather the first week of April, and you'll start to see a new flush of weeds, say mare's tail, for example, and the fields will start to green up. But as we'll see in the example here, that anything that was green in the field this year while soil temperatures were still cold germinated last fall. And we didn't really see anything germinate in the spring of 22 until May, when soil temperatures consistently warmed up over that 50 to 55 degree mark. So let's jump out of the truck here. We'll take a quick look at this boom width that I had shut off last fall, and what you'll see is some weeds that just germinated this spring, and the rest of the field, you see a pretty clean field with just some ragweeds and stuff that germinated this spring. Then you'll see the sprayer skip. Keep in mind, all that green matter, all that biomatter out there germinated last fall, and got early growth on. The soil didn't have to warm up for it to start growing. It was ready to go. So let's jump out and take a look at it. So here we are, corn stalks, sprayed last fall with 2,4-D and dicamba. It's currently the 10th of May. It's 80 degrees out. Soil temperatures well into the upper 60s. And here is the sprayer skip from where your dyslexic sprayer operator, namely me, flipped the wrong switch on the controller and shut off the one boom instead of turning it on. You can see right to the row the difference in the weed control between what was sprayed last fall and what hadn't been sprayed yet this spring. And all this stuff here germinated last fall, was hanging out all winter long, storing up a little bit of energy and waiting for some warm weather. And we're mainly looking at chickweed and groundsel primarily. A couple other guest stars here, but these all come up last fall. I was waiting until spring, and as you can see, we get back into what was fall sprayed and it's clean. We've got a few poking up here, like this ragweed. This all come up this spring once soil temperatures come up, but you can see they're still very small, easy to kill yet on the 10th of May, because they just come up and get going. We get out here and spray them, handle them with no problem. But the bigger weeds, the woolly stuff, that's the difference between your fall application going into spring. Like I said, it's May 10th. May 10th, the cold soil temperatures in April held everything down, kept everything clean. Now that we're warmed up, everything's going to start growing, but you can see how big of a head start you got with fall spraying. So as you saw, huge difference in how clean the field was to where it got the fall application burned down, and where the boom width was that was skipped. And our primary residual in this situation was cold soil temperatures. So as we think about weed management, our target weeds, and we start to consider when these weeds germinate, whether they germinate in the fall, early spring, late summer, all of that should drive our herbicide choice and our residual choices. We don't need to go out and spray residuals for the sake of spraying residuals. We need to be picking select residuals for the weed that's germinating during the time of application. And for example, you've got water hemp, pigweed, and foxtail in the summer versus ragweed and mare's tail in the spring. It is likely that because two different target weeds, you may want to select different residual products specifically for that application. Again, in this situation, we didn't have a residual in the tank, but the application timing was to where soil temperatures had dropped below the point that germination was going to continue. There's some soil activity in the dicamba that helped bridge that gap just a little bit. And then the cold weather sat in from Thanksgiving clear through Easter and almost to Mother's Day. And so we saw nothing germinate out in the fields until May this year. Again, check local listings, it varies year to year. But as long as the soil temperature stayed cold, the field stayed clean, and we didn't get into a big rush to go out there and beat that big hairy mess down that germinated last fall and had no problem growing and putting on biomass in the cooler temperatures in March and April. So just a great illustration, and maybe a way to help you think about how to use residuals and germination timing, application timing. And like I said, just a quick video to show you that drastic difference and help illustrate it, and maybe help think through your process a little bit. Stay safe. Good luck.